Here's another one. I really feel like this isn't it. With the John Morant and De'Aaron Fox discussion is one of my favorite point guard debates. So this is another really good team comp here.
Is he gonna play?
There is that. So there's a thing. So
I forgot about that.
That's going to be an interesting thing. So between those two, I think we're going to compare the Kings and the Grizzlies. We think is going to be better next season. And the thing on the Grizzlies is, let's assume that this is after the John Morant period where he's out, right? If these are two teams around All-Star break, right? Who do we think is going to, if the Grizzlies are able to get fully acclimated again, who do we think has a better chance at actually contending for something? We saw a Kings team that took the Warriors to 7 last year, and we saw a Grizzlies team that got first rounded as well. But at the exact same time, they have Marcus Smart now on the roster, which I think is going to make a huge difference. And Derrick Rose is there, so they have veterans. So I know Ja's going to be out for a good stretch of time and a good period of time. But once this roster is back, it's not going to take them a long time to get acclimated. And I think these two teams are going to be on the same tier. Where do you guys think things are going to round out between these two? Who do you guys think has a better chance of actually contending for something or making a deeper playoff run?
I think I don't know. It kind of depends on how Memphis gets started while Ja's suspended. But I think they've done well enough over the offseason, going out and getting Marcus Smart. Mm-hmm. You know, he can play the point while Ja's out. He's done it, semi. Well, I wouldn't say semi.
He's done it before.
He's done it effectively. You saw it in these last couple of playoff series, but I don't know, man. It's just I don't know how Memphis is going to start.
Let's say this: when the rosters round out and everybody's back, let's say around January, maybe. I'm not sure. I forgot how many games Ja's going to be out, but let's say like around January, whenever he's back and when they're all back together and the rosters round out. These are two teams that I think are going to be in the exact same tier. So who do you think would have a higher chance of making a deep playoff run between these two?
I'll give it to Memphis.
Okay.
Because I think Memphis already had that set. They had that set. What's the word I'm looking for? Just that set blueprint. What we're going to do. And adding Marcus Smart did a lot for like the defensive end. So
I
think that'll push them over the edge.
Yeah. I want to say Kings, but them losing, and I know Golden State is Golden State, so there's no shame in losing to Golden State. But them losing and how they lost to Golden State made me think they're just sometimes they look like they're not mentally strong, especially Sabonis. That's where I'm really worried about.
Defense, which is
they're not mentally strong, especially on defense. I think that's like the Kings' weaknesses at times. Their offense is great, but defensively, sometimes I'm like, dang, y'all just let them muscle y'all around like that. Like they're not even that strong of a team like that. But I feel like, I don't know, Memphis, like Blake said, they already had that structure and they just added some veterans to their team, which is really the only thing they need is veterans that know the way and know how to win, so they can get further in the playoffs. And I probably think they will get further in the playoffs than the Kings, even though I might want to say that, but even though I think De'Aaron Fox might be better than John Morant, that's in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's another discussion. But I feel like the Grizzlies probably once they get together and once they get their whole team acclimated, especially with Steven Adams still on the team, right? Or is he not?
He just signed a contract extension.
Yeah, especially him. I feel like I think they'll get there. They'll be a better built team for the playoffs because I'm just not confident in Sabonis.
Yeah. Thing about this concern of Sacramento is one, no major roster moves. Okay, cool. So can you build off of what you did last season the right way? It's that simple. There wasn't a lot from a transactional standpoint from them to get that roster upgraded compared to a lot of other teams in the Western Conference. So your question for them is, are they going to fall? You know what I mean? Like, are they gonna, fall from where they like last season they were a top seed. Now you're wondering, are they gonna stay within that given how better I think a lot of teams got in the Western Conference? Like I think the Lakers got a lot better. I think obviously Golden State got a lot better in those sorts of things. So the question is, can the Kings keep that spot that they had last season? Interesting thing about the Grizzlies is we talk about that period that Ja's gonna be out. That team, how many games is Ja suspended for?
Let me check because I'm actually.
Was it 25?
I thought it was like 20 something.
It's about. Hold on, let me see.
Let's say it's 20 something games. That's early in the season. It's fairly early in the season.
25 games.
25, right? So that's about a quarter. That's pretty much a quarter in 5 games, right? It's a good amount of time. Your defense can carry you through that period, right? We've seen regular season teams be okay on offense, but survive just based off their defense, especially in the regular season. That Memphis defense is about to be absolutely elite. You have the last 2 defensive players of the year on your roster. You have arguably the best defensive point guard in the game of basketball, and Marcus Smart, and Jaren Jackson, who's arguably a top 5 defensive player. You know what I mean? And then just the intangibles, having that veteran or those veterans there with Derrick Rose and Marcus Smart, that means a lot. That's something that Memphis has just been missing. They are going to be scary next year, especially when Ja's back. And this could mean even more from Desmond Bane. Like, we always judge teams based off how they're good transactionally, and and we forget that players themselves make leaps. Desmond Bane is going to make an all-star leap next season. I think Desmond Bane could become a 25-plus point per game guy.
He was doing it before. I don't know if he got hurt or something, but he was averaging, 25, 26 before last season for a stretch.
He might make that leap, but we got to think the West is stacked with guards. But I get what you're saying. He definitely can make that leap, but the West is definitely stacked with guards, so it'd be tough. Yeah.
But like I said, with it especially now with Brad Beal there and everything, and you know,
SGA still cold, so it's a lot.
But still, like those guys are going to take a lot of leaps just internally, and then we even talk about, you know, some of their role players, right? What does David Roddy do? Like Zaire Williams, he wasn't really there for them last season, so what if he's back, and what leap is he going to make? So I'm excited to see the leap some of those guys make individually for this Grizzlies team, but they addressed everything they needed for a team that had so much controversy and so much hate. Deservedly so. Like, I get it, deservedly so. They had a very productive offseason, and they checked a lot of boxes that they need to check. Right? Defensively, they got a lot better. We know certain guys are going to step up. The Marcus Smart pickup was one of the best pickups so far this offseason. This team is going to be really fucking good next year. Really good. So I'm excited to see it. But I agree with you. I think given how better everybody else got out in the Western Conference, and if we're just comparing these two, I don't think the Kings are going to have a better season than the Grizzlies. They're going to be healthier. The guys are going to be more available for them relatively. And we think because of the Ja thing, it's going to put Memphis at a disadvantage. But I think Memphis still comes out on top relatively to this team. I think Memphis still comes out on top.
It's kind of weird that Sacramento didn't have any additions in the offseason. Like, I would have thought that they at least, like, I know that they probably shocked everybody by making the playoffs and pushing Golden State to the wire, but it's just like you would normally see a team that's shocked everyone like that at least add a couple players to their team in the offseason. They did it, and that's mainly why, like you said, Ty, the Grizzlies, they added another defensive player of the year to their team. I never even thought about that. They have 2 defensive player of the year, reigning defensive player of the years on their team. Like, that's in of itself, like I was mentioning Sacramento's defense, and that's something they struggle with, especially toughness on the defensive end. They're a great offensive team, but it's defensively, like they turned it on a little bit in the playoffs, but it still wasn't good enough. They definitely struggled. So, but with Memphis, you got a big man that can play defense, and you got a guard that can play defense. That normally means success. I'm being honest.
At a very high level, yeah.
And then you got a high when Ja come back. You have a high level offensive player. That matches up pretty well, I would say.
And essentially 3 all. Like, I think that's they have 3 all-stars. Like Desmond Bane is an all-star that didn't make the game. I'll say that. Desmond Bane is. Oh, you saying talking about Jaren Jackson? Like, you know, I always do this. There are a bunch of all-stars that didn't make the game, and Desmond Bane is in that category. So
that don't count because they're not actually all-stars.
You going to NBA? You going to NBA All-Star game to watch Desmond Bane shoot some threes?
No, but I'm
just playing. Don't answer that. I'm just playing.
Trying to give you raw.